Insimbi, Refractory and Alloy Supplies has a market cap of 156 million rand and is 80% controlled by its directors. It listed on the JSE in 2007 and switched to the main board at the start of this year. About 80% of its market is in South Africa, with some focus on bordering countries. Insimbi has a price-earnings ratio of 14. Now, this is very, very small.
Yeah, so interesting, as you said there, these directors basically decided again, whoa, there's a big market listings boom going on in the construction and related industries. Let's go and list on the stock market. But between them, they each have about a 20% stake. They look like well-intentioned, hard-working guys. It's a combination business, so it's got lots of different elements that it supplies into mostly the steel industry in the form of refractories and so on and so forth. So it's dependent on the fortunes of its customers. It does make better margins when the rand is weak, so it's looking a little better now because it's got some stuff that it imports and on supplies. But it's rather a broad-based range of companies and it's had rather a patchy profit record since it came to the market, so it doesn't impress me much.
Craig, it's up to you to try and convince Mr. Theron that this is worth looking at.
No, look, I'm with him on this particular one because it's a slightly different company. It does buy in a lot and sell it out, so it doesn't have those assets to the same extent that InfraSource have. But it hopes for a weak rand, so that is a negative, and in time that evens out anyway because it's got to buy in a lot of the nickel and copper and so on. Deals with ferroalloys, so it's also depending on steel improving, and on the cement side, quite interestingly, it's also involved in the repairs of your cement. I forget what I'm talking about. And it's also, in a sense, a leading indicator of the building industry, but doesn't excite me. I think valuations of a PE of 13, 14 is a bit high for such a small cap.
Why did you choose a stock that you're not excited about?
Looking at a PE of 5.5.
Why did you choose a stock that you're not excited about?
Well, it's in the same sector, and it's the only other one that sort of fits in the sector is Petman, that I'm sure that's been is more widely known, and the results came out today, so this makes it a bit more newsworthy.
All right, the weaker rand. Now, Bridget Taylor last night on the show on Business Tonight is saying that the rand is going to 920. That's going to really put a fire under Insimbi.
Yeah, look, I suppose so. And obviously you could look across the market and see where there are companies that get the double benefit, in terms of what they're buying and then also in terms of their margins, their pricing power and so on. Although if you were just looking to trade the weaker rand, I'm sure you could just go and buy, US dollar rand futures and make your money that way. These guys are, as I said, rather small, rather underweight, and for me there's another issue to put on the table, and that is their financial gearing. They've got a financial relationship with Nedbank, have always had. They got into some quite tricky negotiations with Nedbank, if I can read between the lines looking at the financials back in 08, 09, because they'd just come to the market, they'd geared up, they'd done a few deals, and then things got very tight. They had a financial facility there in place to facilitate their trade flows, and for a while there it looked almost as though Nedbank wanted to pull the chain on them, but they managed to convince them just to keep batting on. But it's another example of what kind of trouble you can get into with companies of this scale.
So Craig, you've chosen a real dud here. I don't even know whether I should ask you hot or not. Do you want to put an official not hot on this?
It's not hot for me, no.
All right, and you're going to give me the same answer. I'm going to waive format right now. Please choose a stock that is not in this sector that excites you. And Craig, it's back to you in Cape Town first, and Mr. Theron, you're up next.
A share that's not in the sector.
Not in the sector. No.
Well, I mean,
no. Because it's only going to be InfraSource.
Well, I look at yesterday I was buying Aspen, but I think it's run up quite a bit today. So I like it in the pharmaceutical industry. I think it's got a slightly defensive nature, so if you're going to go long, it's good to look at a slightly defensive. It is on a pretty high multiple, but I think it's come off a lot because of the bad news that came out from the opposition company.
Adcock Ingram.
It's from that point of view, I think it's got legs, and about 117 Rand worth looking at.